Hello guys and welcome back to the Apprentice, and today we're going to be talking about episode 8, which was, I'm pretty sure, the X-Bus advertising kind of thing. Now, this episode is pretty bad. Not from like a watching point of view, but from like the teams competing. Both teams had significant problems, but one team was very much stumbling at every single hurdle, and it was quite painful to watch. Yeah, it was tough to watch, and the firing, potentially one of the most shocking ever. I don't think we've ever seen this before on the show. I could be wrong. It's been 18 seasons. I've only seen this one. But from what I've heard, this is the first time that this has ever happened. So, without much further ado, I just want to say thank you guys very, very much for the support on the channel. We are on our way to 900 subscribers. We are on our way there, and you guys are doing absolutely fantastic at the same time. So make sure we're continuing the support. Make sure you're watching the video. Make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing, doing all the YouTube stuff that you guys do so well. And I will see you guys in the video. So the idea of this whole thing is that they were split into two teams, obviously, Supreme and Nexus. They mixed the teams around again, or did they? No, I think they actually kept the teams the same this time, and they decided to give them two, like, camper vans almost. I think, in fact, Team Nexus had a camper van, the other team had a box van, and they were asked to target different industries. So Nexus were given the leisure industry, and Supreme were given the business industry, and they had to pitch a product that revolved around their box van that was some form of advertising, or like there was an advertising challenge as well. Yeah, they basically had to build a company off of this vehicle. One team worked a lot better than the other team, but yeah, let's just jump straight into that whole mess. I'm actually going to start with Team Nexus this week, purely because there's a lot less to talk about, because there was a lot less that was wrong with it, and I also think it's just the stronger team at the end of the day. It's really unfortunate that Trey and Rachel are on the other team, because they are two very, very strong competitors, but Team Nexus does have the majority of these strong competitors. So Paul was made project manager, and they decided to go with a staycation vibe with their camper van. I think personally that's quite smart. It's an electric van, so it's idyllic for that kind of getaway vibe. And he wanted to target families, but the rest of the team thought it would be more sensible to go with the 18 to 25s range. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm an 18 to 25-year-old, and I can think of nothing worse than staying in a camper van personally. So immediately, this was not my kind of product, and it doesn't matter how much you sell it to me, I do not want to be staying in a camper van. That is a no for me. But the sub team were given the task of, I think, making the logo, and I think it was Raj and Flo, and they did a good-ish job. They struggled to come up with a name, but they ended up with EB&B, which was a little bit confusing, because immediately B&B stands for bed and breakfast, and this doesn't offer anything more than a bed. So it's really just B and... It should have been B&E. Oh no, B&E is breaking and entering. That's a crime. E&B? Electric and bed? I don't know. There were not great ideas for names. Let's just put it that way. But I also thought their logo was interesting, and it needed to be explained, and I think that's what most of the problem was with this whole thing, was the logo. Everything else kind of felt like it ran quite smoothly, but the logo was the thing that kind of held them back from being a strong group, and from achieving a good result at the end. I mean, they still achieved a good result at the end, but it is what it is. The other side of the team, so this was Paul, Maura, and Steve. They were tasked with the advert. Now, the advert was looking really dull and boring when Paul was in charge even. And then Maura took over and started to inject some comedy, inject some fun into it. And I gotta say, it was actually pretty good. Like the scenes that they were shooting, it looked funny, it looked campy, it looked like you would see an advert be ridiculous on TV. I actually thought it was really strong. And I think Paul was just a little bit out of his element in making adverts, whereas Maura was like, I know what works. She likes to do this. I know what works because I've watched adverts. And I'm like, okay. It's like she wanted to be PM for this challenge, and she was like, oh yeah, I wanna be PM for this challenge because I've been camping. And I was like, that is not a credible reason why you should be project manager. But anyway, moving on. The advert, like I said, was pretty good. It was pretty decent. And then they went out to go talk to the public. And they showed the logo to the public. And one person was like, is this an assisted living place? And I was like, that's that's cruel, that's vile. They also just thought it had nothing to do with camper vans. Which again, I kind of agree with. This team was not good with their logo, and that was what really held them back. And I think that was partially the issue here. Moving on to Team Supreme, Noor was placed in charge by Lord Sugar because she's the only person that hasn't been a project manager at some point during this process. And immediately I knew this was going to cause problems. Noor is, don't get me wrong, she's probably a very, very lovely lady. However, I cannot shake the feeling that she is absolutely horrendous. And she was absolutely horrendous in this episode. During the process, there have been decisions she's made that have made me go, okay, I guess. But I've always been sort of like, okay, she's not the biggest problem here. Other people were the bigger problems. She decided that she wanted to use this vehicle as a pop-up shop for businesses, online businesses, to go out and meet their customer base. Now, the issue with this, and it was pointed out by pretty much everyone on the team, is that they're online, so they don't necessarily want to meet their customers. That's why they're online. It does seem a little bit cross purposes, but okay, fine, Slay will go with it. But no one wants to be the sub team leader. Felicia was offered it and she refused it, so it was given to Phil. And he was like, great. Because both of them were sat there like, I don't even know what you want us to do with this business. Like, this is, we just don't know. There were some good ideas floated about. I can't remember them now because it has been a while since I watched the episode. But I just thought, how awful do you have to be? Yeah, it was tough. It was tough. So when it came to the advert was, for want of a better word, horrific. It was really bad because Nord spent too much time focusing on the girls rather than the product she's trying to sell. And that became very apparent when Trey and Rachel were trying to rush her along and be like, we need to get some shots of like other stuff, like to do with the actual product that we're selling, because you want to tell a story, sure, but we're trying to sell a product, and that's you're preventing us from doing that. Trey and Rachel are very, very strong competitors in this show. Very strong, but they're also very, very good business people. They have not had a single stumble yet, in my opinion. Their team has stumbled, but they themselves have not stumbled. So the fact that Noor is ignoring their advice and kind of just doing what she wants was really frustrating, because not only did they decide to spend ages on the whole, like, the girls, she also put the vehicle in a place where it couldn't drive, so you couldn't actually get the whole functionality of the device. It was just, oh, well, it could just be a market stall for all you know. Do you know what I mean? Like, was it a cool venue? Absolutely. But it didn't really work with the advert, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Now, we come on to the logo. The logo, the name of the company was called Volt, which I think is quite a good name. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought it was quite good. With a Z as well. The, mm, yeah. The decision to make it like a childish font, I thought was quirky and it was fun, but I knew it was gonna open up a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Criticism. And it was gonna cause a lot of problems for them. I really, really, really wanted this to go well for Felucia because I thought the logo looked fine. I thought it looked cool. I thought it looked better than the other teams. Let's just put it that way. However, I think paired with the disaster of an advert, it was just like it sealed the deal for the team. Do you know what I mean? And then when they went out in the public, they were asked whether the logo was designed by children, but they did get the fact that it was like an electric car kind of vibe. However, Rachel and Trey, they're so done with Noor. You could just see them rolling their eyes and just being like, "Oh my god, we're so losing this challenge. We're gonna have to defend ourselves in the boardroom." They were already prepping what they were gonna say to Lord Sugar, and I found that so funny. So when it came to the pitches were, for want of a better word, a little bit of a disaster. We'll start with Team Supreme, seeing as though we just finished off with them. Nord just went, I don't want to pitch, someone else pitch for me. And I was like, and then they were like, are you not comfortable pitching? Because like, that's a bit of a problem if you're not comfortable pitching like in this process. And she's like, no, I just don't want to today. And I was like, huh, okay. So the one person on the team that understands what the fuck they're selling here doesn't want to pitch. Okay. The advert was absolutely horrendous. The first 15 seconds was just the girls texting and then making their way to the market. But that was it. The logo was called out for being childish and they were like, no one's going to take your company seriously. And I was like, oh god, here we go. Here we go. And then there was just a lack of focus in the advert. Again, yeesh. Yeah, it was just horrendous and bad. On the other team, Team Nexus, I thought their advert was quite good. The edited version was funny. It wasn't like ha 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 funny, but it was like yeah, that was quite funny. Steve stumbled in his pitch. Flo was having a little bit of a nightmare when she was like, does anyone know what the logo means or what it stands for? And she was asking them, and I just thought that was really bad from Flo. Like, surely she should have just explained the logo. She did, and it made sense when she explained it, but like, I wouldn't have got that. When she was like, oh, the first rise is the tent, the second rise is this, and then the last one is the E for efficiency and electric or whatever. I was like, okay, sure. So they were also called out for mislabeling of B&B, and I called them out on this earlier, but Flo did explain it very well, and it actually kind of made me change my mind a little bit, because obviously you've got Airbnb, and not all Airbnbs provide breakfast, but it's still an Airbnb. That's like the company name. So Airbnb is along that same kind of line. So I do understand it now that she explained it that way, but it is still a little bit misleading. Also, the logo was called out for looking a little bit like a sanitary product, which was a little bit awkward. And then also Paul was called out for missing key features within the advert, because they were like, oh, why did you not like sort of highlight the this feature, the this feature, the this feature, which are all really cool, but you chose to include the USB charger, which, do you know how long USB chargers have been in cars for? Since 2006. And I was like, rah, this man's not letting up. This man's got no chill. So yeah, it was just a little bit messy, a little bit dodgy, but that's the pictures done. Let's go into the boardroom now. So Team Nexus were questioned for the name, but Paul stood by the name, which surprised me actually, because he didn't even come up with a name. I was happy that he was standing by it. The logo was misunderstood, obviously, and the advert wasn't funny, haha. It was just like, huh. And I thought Alan Sugar was a little bit harsh on that team. I thought they did a bit better than they were given credit for, because the other team, Team Supreme, Felicia admitted she didn't even understand the vision. She was like, I just didn't get it. So, like, I didn't want to be the sub-team leader. They were questioned why the vehicle didn't move, and Noah was like, oh, because I liked the location and we couldn't drive in the location. I was like, oh, God. They were called out for the awful advert, but when it played and it finished, Noah went, oh, it's very good, isn't it? And I was like, I think Lord Sugar literally went, are you joking? Are you taking the piss? And then Noah started blaming Trey for the fuck-ups, because she was like, you were throwing me off. You were being critical, and it was putting me off my game. Oh my goodness. No, don't be blaming Trey. Do not do that. Do not do that at all, because that is not going to end well for you. It is not going to end well for you at all. Fuming, absolutely fuming. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I don't even know how Lord Sugar decided, but he basically just went, yep, Nexus have won. You guys are back in the workroom, or not the workroom, the boardroom. And this was where the real blaming began. Because Noah was like, oh, it's all Trey's fault. And I was literally sitting there and then going like, what? And then Lord Sugar was like, are you joking? Are you joking that you think that the advert's good? And I was so happy that he called her out on her bullshit. Because this is like the third or fourth time that she's designed something that's like subpar or a little bit shit. And she's gone, oh, it's very good. It's very good. It's like she has just unwavering, like, she has an unwavering ability to just support her own actions, and it's very admirable, but also horrifically misguided. And then Phil was trying to blame Felicia, and I just thought, Phil, actually just pipe down, because you're on 8 losses in a row. Pipe the fuck down. And this was where things got a little bit crazy, a little bit messy, because rather than bringing people back into the boardroom, Lord Sugar just went, no, you're fired. And I was like, raw. That never ever happens. That has never ever happened as far as I'm aware in The Apprentice. Someone is so bad that they're just fired before the boardroom. They're brought back to the boardroom. Tough, but also very well deserved. She was 100% the weakest in this competition. I still think that once she's gone, the rest of the competition is a little bit closer. There aren't as many shit people. There's Phil, who's lost 8 in a row, but I also don't believe that he's been to blame for the majority of those. So I can't hate him too much. Not hate him, but I can't not back him. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there it is. That is the episode today. I hope you guys enjoyed. We have got 4 episodes left of the series. As far as I'm aware, the series ends this Thursday. So remember, no spoilers, even though I'll probably already know the result, let's be honest. But I will be doing it. I will be caught up, hopefully, by the end of April. Fingers crossed. But either way, thank you guys very, very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And make sure to keep on ranting. Subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. And I'll see you guys later. Bye now.